Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth Podcast. I'm Jack Smith.
I'm Shrikar Rajendran.
And I'm Anish Gupta.
We got a lot of stuff on tap for you guys this week. It was a little bit of a return to normalcy. We got some good games. We got some teams returning back to form. Cough, cough, Kansas City. We've got some teams that absolutely blew it. Cough, cough, Tampa Bay. But before we get into everything that we're going to talk about, fellas, how's it going? And how was your football weekend?
Wait, Jack, you were coughing. Did you fake a vaccination card or?
Nah, I'm
not. Okay.
I'm not Antonio Brown.
You're not Antonio Brown.
He's back in the news again.
Yeah.
You can't escape it.
Football weekend quick updates because we want to go quick. Mine was bad. Just gonna say, 45 unanswered. I missed half of my brother's playoff football game for that. So, yeah.
Did your brother win?
Yes.
Hey,
so he
won.
won.
Browns. I think you guys are just missing Odell.
He scored 3 touchdowns, so at least I'm happy there. But gosh,
if they had Odell, the Browns would be crazy if they had Odell. My football week was great. I'll keep it short as well. Great football week. Back in the top in picks.
Don't even mention.
Kyle Shanahan beat McVay once again. You gotta love it. It was a great football week, man.
Well, and Debo killed it. I mean, folks.
Don't even take
I've been on
any
Debo for
that.
so long. I've been trying to convince these two, especially Anish.
Is DK better now?
Debo, give me.
Is it really DK over Debo still?
Hey, you know what? DK won last year. Debo's won this year. We'll see how it goes next year.
Okay.
I'll take Debo.
You guys to get on this Debo train for such a long time. I think
it's a good train to be on.
I think we should focus a little bit more on that Browns loss, though, Nish. I want to hear more about how demoralizing it was and just how many points they lost by. I think that was kind of the part that we wanted to focus on.
Yeah. So can we get into my takeaway?
Let's hit it.
Right into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I'm going first this time, and okay. Well, my takeaway is kind of involving two teams, and it's that Jalen Hurts has been more of a franchise quarterback than Baker Mayfield has been in 2021. Now, I think that's a pretty bold statement to say. And, you could be like, okay, Anish is just overreacting like he always does after the Browns lose one. But I'm full in on this take. I can't tell you how many videos I watch every day, just see what the media says on Baker, hoping there's a change. And it's just the same opinions. It's the same people saying the same stuff. And now it's been out there right now. I think it's the narrative of him not being a franchise guy it's been spurting out, right? I feel like each week it's different. Last week when he beat Cincinnati, the whole thing was like free Baker. And now it's like, Baker's this, and I'm tired of this back and forth. And my whole notion with Baker is that, he will always be my favorite Browns quarterback, just of what I've seen, because, he did something that no Browns QB has done in a very long time. And we know what he's done. But I think I saw something, that someone said, and I'm going to kind of rephrase into my own thing, right? Cleveland has been such a laughing stock that they've been fine with what Baker's been doing. And Baker hasn't done anything, overly sensational. And I think Cleveland's been so, not spoiling the opposite direction. They've been just ridiculed by bad QB play. They've been satisfied with what Baker's doing. But if you're really a championship contender, you can't settle for, I hate to say it, but you can't settle for average. And that's what Baker kind of is, right? You can't settle for that. So, but a lot of Cleveland guys are they're kind of okay with, because again, small market team, they have never been the face of the NFL. They're okay with quote unquote mediocrity. That's why they always defend Baker. It's kind of the same with Vikings and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins isn't going to win you a Super Bowl, but it's kind of, you just defend them and you find these little itty bitty stats to kind of make Kirk Cousins, glorified. But, for Jalen Hurts to kind of flip it up, I mean, this dude has won, the last 2 games and looked really impressive in both of them, right? We saw what they did on the Lions, which, okay, fine, it's the Lions. But what they did to, Denver last week was really impressive. I mean, you're talking about a team on the road. We all talk about that mile higher. I do especially, right? To travel across country and get that win, I think it's huge. And this is a team with some very winnable games, and they could have a winning season and potentially make it to the playoffs. So interested to hear what you guys have to say, but I'm going to say it also right now, and you can clip me. I'm officially out on Baker Mayfield.
I think it'd be really easy for me to respond back with, it's easy to look like a franchise quarterback when your team is running the ball at the most efficient rate over the last calendar month. And they have consistently run the ball 40 times and only throw 11 passes. But the sad part is you can go to a lot of games that I would applaud Baker Mayfield on, and you can kind of say the exact same thing. So that kind of wipes that argument just out of the picture, because both of these quarterbacks, when they play well, they tend to benefit from a great offensive line, teams that run the ball really, really well, and coaching decisions prioritizing the run. You told me this takeaway a couple days ago, and I tried to poke a hole in it. And honestly, I think I agree with you. I think Jalen Hurts has looked like more of a franchise quarterback than Baker Mayfield this year. I really did not expect to see that. I texted you guys the other day. Baker Mayfield has legitimately regressed, and he is still a young quarterback. You really don't see that. Normally, you start talking about regression, it's towards the end of a career. Obviously, we don't know what the future holds for Baker Mayfield, but he is still a young quarterback. He's supposed to be growing, getting better every year. And his career has been a really weird roller coaster. You could say he regressed after his rookie year as well, and then eventually picked it up in his third year. But right now, it's looking like some of the worst football we've ever seen him play in the NFL. Hard to explain. And yeah,
well,
I mean,
how much? Well, before Shrikar, and maybe Shrikar can add to his opinion on this too. Maybe another question you can answer. How much would you put on the injuries? Right? Because I think that's
there's a lot put on the injury. I know there's a lot.
I have something to say about that though.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I applaud Baker for being out there. A lot of credit to him. He's a warrior for that.
He's so tough.
But here's the thing. Once you are out there on the field, I am not taking injuries into account. I'm not using that as an excuse. And also because Baker is telling himself, he's telling the media, I want to play. I want to play. When you're out there, I expect you to play and not underwhelm.
Yep.
And I get it. I give him credit for being out there. And, it's a tough thing to do. But if you're out there, you're playing, and I'm evaluating you like the other quarterback on the field, and it's just, you're there, you're playing. So I got to evaluate you like it is. I can't take injuries into account that heavily. But I think with Hurts, there's definitely something there. I can't really put my finger on it, but he has that sort of it factor. The Eagles have 3 first-round picks this year. They're set up very well. They could build around Hurts, and he really could be that franchise guy. Baker's situation, no way I'm paying him $40 million a year. Absolutely no way. If I'm the Browns, and I asked Anish about this, I think yesterday, if they have the capital to go after an Aaron Rodgers, a Russell Wilson, a Deshaun Watson, I'd look into it. I'd do my due diligence. I'd see if you can have that happen. If you can't do that though, I'd use Baker's 5th-year option to your advantage, because it's sitting there. Let him play through it. It'll be kind of like a prove it sort of thing, because once again, Baker is the guy who brought this franchise out of the dumps. You can't disrespect him by just letting him walk. It just doesn't work that way in the NFL, even with how the market is kind of shift. But if I'm the Browns, I use that 5th-year option and say, hey, Baker, we still need to see it from you from another year, but we're still in on you. We're not completely out. We can't, shatter his confidence or anything, but we still need to see you, perform at a franchise QB level, but we still believe in you. That 5th-year option still makes it so that they still have faith in them. So I think that's where I'd go with that Baker situation. But with Hurts, I think there's really something there, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future with this Eagles team and what Howie Roseman wants to do.
Telling you, Nick Sirianni, he's a good. I'm telling you, he's been better than I thought. That run game going. Telling you, I watched
offensive line's been a big help in that. I mean, their health has been just totally helped them. To your point about Baker, Shrikar, I definitely agree that the 5th-year option does sound like a pretty good path to take if those calls don't work out for another quarterback. And also the Browns have proven they can still win games without Baker Mayfield playing at he can play at an average level. The problem is when he plays at a below average level, which happens decision-making wise, which is why another reason why, you can't really use the injury excuse, because injuring your labrum doesn't really have much effect on your decisions to throw the ball in tight windows that just aren't there, and to make bad decisions. And
I've said it throughout the season too. If you're not healthy enough to play, don't push it.
Yep.
Stay healthy.
I want to say like 2 things for that. One, I think like you're right on the 5th year, because he's going to get surgery on it in the off season, and he'll come back. Like, it's not on his throwing shoulder. So that's fine. Like, for example, again, I think I sent you guys the video, right? There's a video someone put out. I believe it's by KTO, and he's a Browns fan too, but he made a really, really technically well, made video on the similarities between Baker and Drew Brees. Now, I'm not saying Baker is Drew Brees. I'm not saying he's going to be Drew Brees. They've had very similar starts to their career, though, right? They come into a bad team. Chargers were 1-15. Browns were 0-16. Again, third year, they made the playoffs. Fourth year, they injured their shoulder. I mean, second year, they regressed from their great rookie year. I mean, it's crazy similarities. I'm not going to steal all this stuff because I thought it was amazing what I learned from that video. But again, right, after Drew had that surgery, right, albeit it was with another team where he took off, right, Baker's still 26. So he's got time. Quarterbacks are lasting longer and longer in this league. So, let's see how it is fifth year, I guess, right? Maybe this year is just kind of a lost season because of the injury. We don't know how much it's affecting him because he's still playing. But I would say this, I think right now, as of right now, I think Case Keenum gives you a better chance to win than Baker. Look at all the injuries on the report, right? Sore foot, knee contusion, torn labrum, fractured shoulder, or I think it's cracked shoulder. I mean, you're playing with four different injuries all on top of that. You're still trying to play. Kudos to you. Again, I have loved this guy. He gives me hope every week. I don't care what it is. I don't get it. No matter what, even if he, craps the bed the week before, I just always have some ounce of hope with this guy. And I think that's the greatest gift he's given Browns fans. So, sentiment, there's a lot of sentiment there, especially with this topic, but I think those are my 2 points about Bake. And for Jalen Hurts, again, a guy that we did the whole stock up, stock down, right? I believe you guys had stock down, I had stock up. Again, I think it's rising. Him and Sirianni, good combo. Running game's been getting going, right? Remember we were talking about it, right? We were like, just give Sanders the damn ball. And now they're giving it to guys like Jordan Howard and Boston Scott, which, hey, okay, if it works, it works. But, this is a dangerous team, easy schedule. That's kind of how I look at it. And again, Jalen Hurts has had those flashes, those moments where I'm like, wow, he's been able to lead this team.
And I can see where you're coming from, but with being out on Baker, because if I was to compare his situation to, say, and this is not a direct QB to QB comparison, but say if I wanted to compare him to Trevor Lawrence's situation in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is not good right now, but he needs an actual NFL team around him. Look at what Baker has as a young QB. I mean, it's everything you could want. Great head coach, great offensive line, 2 amazing running backs. You got Landry, Higgins. Yeah, 3 with Dearness Johnson now. I mean, he's got everything there. He's got great tight ends too, in Hooper and Njoku. And I've said this throughout the whole season. He's had the opportunities, to really prove that he's that franchise guy. He's had big moments before, and he just hasn't capitalized. He hasn't shown me that he can perform in those big moments, which is why throughout this season, even throughout part of the offseason, I was concerned that, he may not be the franchise guy, because what will he do in January when he's faced with these big moments?
I think Shrika and I are still saying no, he can't win you those late situations.
I'm standing by it.
I'll ask for the final question to end the takeaway, though. Do you guys think the Browns are still a playoff team? Do you think they will make it as of right now?
Knowing the state of the AFC, I would say they're in the mix. If I had to say, are they going to make the playoff? I'm going to say no. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say no. It's because there's so many teams on the rise right now. And the Browns just seem to be, it looked like they were on an uptick right now, but this past week getting pummeled like that against New England.
Yeah.
What does that do for confidence? What does that do in the grand scheme of things? I don't know.
I think the way I'll let Jack go first. You want to give an answer?
I'm going to help you out. I'm going to make you happy. I think you've been looking for this from me all season. I'm going to say no. I don't think the Browns make the playoffs.
Finally, Jack is out. Okay, good. Now we can tear it up. But I will say this, kind of like how I said it with the Chiefs, I'll kind of end it off on this because, Kevin Stefanski said something that's really cool, and I think every team should look at it like this. The season is not one long marathon. It's 17 different sprints. I thought that was such a really cool way to look at it because it's each game. Because the Browns have had these really bad losses, like last year too, 38-7, 38-6. But they what matters is the record, right? So you can lose one game 100-6, right? But if you win more games than you lose, it's all that matters in the end. So it's, that's the true numbers that count. So I will say that. And then also, I think they have to win one against Baltimore. If they get swept, it's done. I think that's
And I 100% agree with KS in this case, because I'd argue that the NFL is more of a sprint than a marathon because it's all about positioning early. Once you get in positioning early, it just sets up the rest of your slate. But I think you guys may disagree. You guys may agree. I think Kevin Stefanski is a top 5 head coach right now. You can think what you want about that.
I don't want to.
I'd have to sit down, like
He's
relook
at
at the
5
list
for me as a play caller in the NFL. He is in my top 5. And
it's
you
hard
guys
to say
may
that
dis-
after this week, but I feel like on a whole, I might agree.
I still think so. I think there's something there with Stefanski that I really like, and it's ever since that hire. I was a huge fan of the hire, and I was especially looking at it from Baker's perspective, from his development. I thought it'd be perfect for him. I think it's more on Baker than the head coach. I know some people are blaming Stefanski, and I think no, you can't blame him because the running game, his bread and butter, is still doing really well. Like, this is a run-first offense executed really well, almost to the best of any team. And in my opinion, that makes him top 5. It's just, as a play caller, I put him right at that 5 slot, could be even 4, but he is definitively in that top 5 for me.
I think I agree. Do you want to get into your takeaway?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's do it. Let's move to the AFC West. Let's move to Kansas City. They pummeled the Raiders. Patrick Mahomes had a great game, 406 yards. Was it 5 touchdowns? Was that the count?
Yep.
Vintage Mahomes game right there. But I think the bigger story is actually, the revival of the Chiefs defense, because over the past 5 weeks, they've only let up 15 points a game. And I know, the teams they face, not very good. You Packers without Rodgers, you got the Giants, you got teams in that kind of range. But still, that is a big step. They were ranking, either near or last or toward the bottom in every single defensive category. Jack listed them all out in one episode. We were mind blown. Like, that is a historically bad defense. But now, like, something has just, turned a corner. They've been getting a lot of better individual contributions. Chris Jones has been doing a lot better ever since they moved him back. Frank Clark has been doing a lot better. The secondary is still a little bit shaky, but it's been playing better. As a defense, they've just been looking a lot more cohesive, and I think that is huge as they go in, to this next stretch. But I think a lot of people are going to talk about Mahomes and his vintage performance, how he's back. But I think all of us expected him to find himself at some point this year, because there's no way Mahomes could go this long, with that talent. There's no way he could have gone this long without eventually, starting to get a little bit of juice back. But I think the story isn't Mahomes being Mahomes. And I think it's the defense, coming back toward, I guess, league average, but I guess coming back toward being above average by Kansas City standards. And if they can get that level of the play from the defense, Mahomes will do his thing on offense. The Kansas City Chiefs offense will be running with Reed and Bieniemy. If they can get at least average defense, I think this is still, a potential Super Bowl contender. I still think so, because all they needed from that defense in 2019, they played above average and they played really well throughout that stretch. But I think if they just get average play, I'll say above average, I won't go that low, I think they could really be serious threats once again.
I don't remember exactly what episode I said this in, but Spagnuolo defenses, Steve Spagnuolo, they have a tendency to just be absolutely terrible to start off a season, but he almost always figures something out that saves them. Gonna have to go back and watch the game specifically to see exactly what it is he's been doing differently. But the Chiefs defenses almost always have 2 different looks throughout the year. They've got the time where they look like the worst defense in football for a significant chunk of the year. And then they've got the period where they figure it out and they're actually a solid above average defense. And for these last couple of games, I know they haven't been against the best competition, but they've started to look like that. And I think it's a big test this week against Dallas. I'm not going to say the defense is fully back yet, because it looks like a different Chiefs team this year than we've seen in past years. And 1 week isn't going to get them off of that hook. But coming into next week, we'll have a pretty good idea about whether this resurgence is for good. And if it is, I mean, this Chiefs team, they probably vault all the way back up to being your Super Bowl favorite in the AFC once again, because the offense clicked and the defense clicked. And it was really fun to watch. And football's better, I think, when Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are playing well. And so I really enjoyed watching it. And I do hope that they get back to the playoffs, because like Anish mentioned the other day in another episode, no one wants to play the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs in the playoffs, they're still an absolute force. And I know we all want to see that force succeed. It's just going to take 1 more week before I can fully say they're back.
So I think it's I mean, I kind of defended them a little bit more than, you guys throughout this little slump. But what I would say is, remember I said back a few weeks ago that they needed to win that 4-game stretch, all 4, right? Or to go 3-1.
Yeah.
Yes, they've caught breaks. They've definitely caught breaks.
Very,
the Raiders,
very large breaks.
All the turmoil the Raiders have dealt with, the Packers with Rodgers. And as a guy who, again, the Browns have just lost to the Chiefs and they don't have tiebreaker with them, it really makes me mad. That's just unfortunate. But look, I said this right. Any team can just get hot at the end. The Chiefs were 6-4 the year they won the Super Bowl. Albeit Mahomes got hurt for a couple games, but they won their final 6. They won their final 3 in the playoffs. So they finished on a 9-0 run,
Same with the Bucks last year, if I remember correctly. I think they were 6-4.
Yeah. So, or the Bucks were 7-5, 7-5,
7-5. Yeah.
7-5. And then they went 1 out. So look, it's all about getting out at the right time. And I heard Skip Bayless said this too. It's not about whom you play. It's when you play them. So, right. Like if the Browns had played the Pats week 1, I think they would have beaten them versus playing them now when they're, winning straight. And now the Chiefs have found something, but I will say this, as Jack mentioned, right, to wait a game. They did play a Raiders team that's just been in utter chaos. Interim head coach against Andy Reid, right? Like, John Gruden was their play caller too. So you lose that against a guy who's just an offensive genius. So, there's stuff like that. And obviously you knew, after the game, one of us was going to have this takeaway. Everyone's talking about it. Are the Chiefs back? They did their whole Chiefs thing. Where was this game? It's finally here. It was bound to happen. And what I'll say again, especially about the defense, is they've had their moments. I think they've, they're finding ways to take the ball away, which they did, against the Raiders last week. But I think this Dallas game will be a real test, as Jack mentioned. And I want to see for, the Chiefs offense as well, right? How will this, momentum wise, because now you've gotten through your shaky stretch, right? And this is where we want to see, right? Can you vault yourself back up? Because the AFC is completely open. There's no team, right, that we can really say is number 1. Like I want to say the as of right now, I think I've kept Titans. The Chiefs. I've kept the Chiefs top 3 in the AFC throughout the entire year. But I think right now my rankings would be 1 Tennessee, 2 Kansas City, and 3 New England. I think that's my ranking right now. So I think Kansas City is still up there. And as Shrikar mentioned with the defense, the 15 points a game type of thing, I think it's, they're bound to forget their footing, but I will also agree with Jack that it's little stretches, right? It's this one game, that's why I'm saying 17 different sprints, right? So let's see how they do against the next one and then the next one. If you can build momentum, how will you do, in the playoffs? But I will say this, and I'll end my takeaway on this. I think the Chiefs have shown you once again why they are the team that you in the AFC you should fear the most heading into January.
If they enter as a wild card team, there is no team in the AFC that wants to play them. 100%.
It's going to be crazy. No. It's the AFC divisional rounds are going to be crazy because you're going to get either New England or Buffalo as a wild card team, and there's a chance you get Kansas City as a wild card team as well. It's like if they're coming into an opposing stadium, like they legitimately might be favorites. Like I would.
Are we even confident who's going to be in the divisional round?
No,
no, I'm not. Like,
no,
forget AFC.
We have half the season left.
See, that's what. No, but okay, in the NFC,
a lot of time.
I'm pretty confident we're gonna see. I'm pretty confident that the Rams, the Packers, the Bucks, the Cardinals, and I'm forgetting Cowboys. 4 of those teams will probably be in the divisional round. 99% sure. The AFC, I have no clue. Any team could lose, right? Obviously, one's gonna get the bye, and I think Tennessee will. So okay, fine. But other than that.
The AFC is to a point I don't even know who's going to make the playoffs. I don't even know who's going to win a game in the playoffs. 500
or better with 8 games left?
It's chaos. It's very chaotic.
I mean, all the spots are for grabs in the AFC. You're right. I think the NFC has less spots available, which I'm going to get into in a couple minutes in my takeaway.
Yeah, go ahead.
NFC, you're kind of fighting for the 6 and 7 seed. Yeah. But AFC, I mean, there are 3, I would say all 3 divisions outside of the AFC South are all wide open.
Yeah, 2 through 7 is wide open.
Yeah,
yep.
I definitely
agree. I still think
Tennessee's probably going to stick
just because their schedule, honestly. But I right now I'm not sure how confident I am in them going and winning a Super Bowl.
And after Thanksgiving, that's when we really see the contenders and pretenders.
Hey, all the guys that said that Dak is way better than Ryan Tannehill. Just saying right now, he's got his team looking pretty good.
Dak has been way better than Ryan
Tannehill. He has been. I said that. I said Dak would pass him, but don't count out Ryan Tannehill in January. All I'm saying.
We'll see. We'll see. We talked about it a lot last week. Getting into my takeaway, like I mentioned, it's about that NFC playoff race. I think, and this is still a little bit of a tentative thought, I've been going back and forth on it, but if I had to put money on it, I think the Seahawks playoff chances are done. I think losing last week to the Packers, getting shut out, falling all the way down, now they're 3-6, which is third to last in the NFC playoff race. I just feel like with the remaining games that they have left, and just the state of the team right now, the best case scenario, I just don't think it will be enough to get back into the playoffs. Like I mentioned before, the top 5 seeds, I think, in the NFC are completely solidified. And so you're competing for the last 2 with a combination of these teams. It's New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta, Philly, San Francisco, Minnesota. Anish, you can throw in the New York Giants if you want. I don't think they have a chance. They're bad.
Let me have my Daniel Jones.
All of those teams that I mentioned are above the Seahawks already. And the Seahawks play the Cardinals twice. They play Washington. They play San Francisco. They play the Rams. And they're going to get some wins against the Texans, Bears, and the Lions. But across that stretch of 8 games, I think best case, the Seahawks win 5. I think you win 2 or 3 of Texans, Bears, Lions. I'll spoil my picks. I know this is pretty ironic considering what I'm saying right now. I've got the Seahawks beating the Cardinals this week because I feel like they're going to split one of them, and most likely they're going to win at home. So it's a toss up against San Francisco. Those teams normally split. I mean, Shrikar, you know it best. They almost always.
They don't normally split.
Seahawks
usually.
Recently,
the last 5 years, it's been Seattle dominant.
I think the Hawks are going to win that game actually in Seattle too.
I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit better about the Niners than I have in recent weeks. I don't think the Seahawks have enough firepower to beat the Rams. I just don't think they get it done. And Washington, I feel like walking into that game, if you put them on a neutral playing field right now, it would be a toss up. So I feel like best case scenario, you spot the Seahawks 5 wins. That gets them to 8 and 9. I don't think that's enough to make the NFC playoffs. I really don't. And even if you give them 6, 9 and 8, I just feel like I don't think that's enough. What?
9 and 8 could get you in.
9 and 8 could get you in.
Yeah,
and that's going 6 and 2. You think the Seahawks are a 6 and 2 team for the rest of the year?
Here's the thing. If there's one thing I've learned as a Niners fan for all my life,
I'm going to say
you never count out Russell Wilson.
Exactly.
I know that.
And that is why I'm never going to say until it is mathematically not a possibility that the Seahawks are always going to be in that mix.
They're in the mix. I just don't think it's possible. Or it's possible. I don't think it's probable.
Look, I agree with Shrikar here. Look, here's what I'll say, right? I'm a Russ guy. Look, this dude, again, I think I said it before we recorded, right? I think he's one of the 3 most valuable players in football. And look, I know this was first time he got shut out, I think, ever in his career.
Yep.
Against
That's crazy.
So it was a terrible game, but I mean, come on, he rushed his injury so far ahead. It's not even.
That's close. The thing, but see, you're gonna get an injured Russell Wilson. That's something we've never seen, and I want to make it completely clear. Clarification. I've been a Seahawks guy for a really long time. I've been a huge believer. Russ, one of my favorite players in the league. Every year, especially last year, I had them winning the division over the Niners, and I want to make it clear. I really like the Seahawks. I just feel like, and maybe it's just a gut feeling, and in a couple of weeks I could be proven wrong if they end up going 6 and 2 over the stretch. I feel like best case scenario, with the way that we have seen the NFL play out this year, there's no such thing as a guaranteed win. They're not going to go at that high clip winning a bunch of games. It's going to be a lot more in the middle, even matchups. I think they go 5 and 3 at best. Probably going to assume they go 4 and 4 because we can't forget the type of football we've seen the Seahawks play this year. It just hasn't been their same brand of football.
I'm just hoping this is just Russ shaking the rust off.
Because look, here's what I'll say, right? I think remember the Seahawks were the cream of the crop in the NFC for the last 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm. A while.
Sorry, more than that. Sorry, 8 years, maybe the whole decade.
Very long.
Whole decade. I think teams are looking at them now and saying like, "Hey, they're not that team anymore. Like we can beat them, right?" Like I feel like that's what teams are kind of. You know what I think the morale around the Seahawks is that they are beatable and we can go in there. They're not the same, juggernaut NFC team that we once thought they were. I think that's kind of the notion that is kind of appearing, right? Because no matter what, all the defensive struggles, all the injuries, all the players that are just not that good, all the whiff draft picks, everyone always has them in their Super Bowl bubble every single year, right? Like you may look at this team. It's not even that they have, they're very top heavy. They don't have depth, but they're always in the hunt. They're always in your little Super Bowl bubble. But again, right? Like you said, like I'm kind of trying to say that they look very vulnerable, and I'll agree with you, Jack. I think it's going to be a really, really sharp uphill climb. But I will also agree with Shrikar and say if there's anyone who can do it, it's that guy. It's Russell Wilson, number 3. But if I were to bank on it, and if I were to bet, this is the first time I'm in the last 8 years that I'm gonna bet on Seattle not making the playoffs.
And real quick, let's look at it. Arizona, I could see them potentially winning. Washington, I have them winning. Niners, I have them winning. Houston, they'll win. Rams, they could pull off an upset there in LA. They could. It's a divisional game. Chicago's winnable. Detroit's winnable. Arizona is also winnable in Arizona in Week 18. That I could see them winning majority of those. There's not one game on that slate where it's just like, no, they're going to lose.
What is their morale looking like going into those games though? Because think about it, they also thought, hey, we're a top 5. It does depend. We're gonna do this, right? And look at that, like. Also, right, like, for example, a guy like Tyler Lockett who's not getting the ball, what's his morale going into the next game? What's this defense going into, the next game, knowing that they couldn't, they tried everything they could and their offense can, help them out, right? Like it's just, I think the team morale has really gone down and the narratives are piling up, right? Where's Russ going to go next year? Frustrations are looming. This team is getting hit by that.
But it's been like that for us for a while now. Like if we really think about it, it's kind of
last year,
but it's building up. It's built, and the calls for Pete Carroll are building up. I feel like for you mentioned for that decade, Anish, they had just 2 absolute stalwarts at the top. They had Russell Wilson, they had Pete Carroll. Russell Wilson might be leaving. Pete Carroll, everyone wants him fired. It's like
see those 2 solidified dams are getting a little cracks in them.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, one thing we can all agree though, they're 100% on the downswing. Like definitely. We could see, we said that. We said this. Yeah, we've said this for a while.
Yeah, of course.
Be careful too to hand them wins against Houston and the Lions because you've seen what that's done to teams like Buffalo and teams like Tampa Bay.
You can't guarantee anything. I'm just saying.
And Pittsburgh, who should have lost to Detroit. Lucky team.
Dude, what are you doing picking the Lions? Come on now.
Yeah, he should have won that game. Don't even get me started.
No, both teams deserve to lose that game.
That was the worst football.
Detroit should have made the kick. That was
no one deserved to win.
Again, I will say this. Of course, he should have made the kick, but you should have known, dude. It's the Lions.
It's Detroit.
They don't make those.
Hey, I bet on Jacksonville once and it worked. So I thought I could do it with Detroit. Whatever.
Do it again this week against the Niners.
Hey, pick Detroit against your Browns, right?
Maybe I'll jinx him. I don't know.
With God, what's the guy's name? It's not even going to be Jared Goff. I don't think. Tim Boyle.
Wait, I didn't even know that. Wait, he has the oblique injury, right?
Injury. He hasn't practiced.
Fake fan.
Probably going to be Boyle.
If we lose to Tim Boyle, dude,
that would be like 2021 NFL in a nutshell. The Lions beating the Browns with Tim Boyle on their home field. Wouldn't that be something?
Being a Lions fan and the one game you win all season is because Tim Boyle played.
Hold up.
I'm sorry. I would laugh for a day straight if that, maybe 3 days.
Knock on wood that we beat.
What's worse, going into a game with David Blau as your starting quarterback or Tim Boyle?
Hey, David Blau almost won. Remember on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Watch out.
Albeit it is Chicago. But.
You better watch out. Tim Boyle's going to come beat you now. And now it's time for another segment of this fantasy football start sit we've been doing over the past couple of weeks. Low key, we've been killing it, and it's
low key money.
Except me. This is crunch time for fantasy football. Fantasy football players, playoffs starting in about 3 or 4 weeks. So you got to stack some dubs and get into the playoffs. So we want to give you guys the best chance to do that, giving you players that you got to start. If they're in your lineup, you got to try and sit them down if you can afford to. As always, a little disclaimer. Last week, some of our big hits, starting Michael Carter, sitting DJ Moore, sitting Adam Thielen. We had some good calls last week.
Starting Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow. That was good. He beat me in a league. It sucked. I didn't like it. I was hoping you were wrong. That's the one time I was hoping we were off. But this week, we'll start it off. My fantasy start is David Montgomery. And while it may be like, okay, that's not a very surprising start, I feel like we have not heard a single thing out of anyone's mouth about David Montgomery in the past couple of weeks. Even though he came back from injury, he was still partially hurt, and he took about every single valuable touch for the Bears against the Steelers, and he's had a bye week to get healthy. In the week, right when he came off the injured reserve, he had 13 carries compared to Khalil Herbert's 4 and 2 targets compared to Khalil Herbert's 0. And that was still, like I mentioned, he was still coming back from injury, hadn't played in a couple of weeks, and now he's coming off of a bye. He's facing Baltimore. 21st best matchup for fantasy running backs this season. And I think people forget he was a fringe running back 1 coming into the year. You got to make sure you're starting him. You fire him up in your lineup this week because David Montgomery's back. He'll be back for the rest of the season. And I think that last week he proved he's that bell cow guy that we were kind of worried about once we saw Khalil Herbert break out after he got injured.
Baltimore does have a pretty good run defense, so a little bit cause of concern there, but I do agree with you on, how much share he's going to get in the backfield, because Montgomery being back is very big for the Bears. My start of the week is actually going to be a guy you could potentially put in your flex spot. That guy is Elijah Moore against Miami. And I'm assuming that Xavier Howard is going to be covering Corey Davis. So I think that's going to open up a good amount of looks for Elijah Moore against the worst pass defense in the NFL right now. I'm pretty sure when it comes to, yards. So I think Elijah Moore has a big opportunity here, and I think he's going to take advantage of it. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore as my start.
Yeah, Miami worst pass defense didn't look so bad against Baltimore.
No, the Jets.
Hey, it's my little shot on them. But my start is gonna be Derek Carr. And quick note on Dave Montgomery. I love Khalil Herbert. Sucks that he won't get.
Me too. I mean, he was really good for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
good 6th-round
Productive.
pick. Hey, love to see it. But yeah, my start's gonna be Derek Carr. Again, I think I've said it on this pod a couple times and on our Instagram, how much he's really, impressed me and won me over this year. But again, forget the stuff off the field. I'm talking about on the field. I think he's, a better start than, maybe Aaron Rodgers this week. Obviously you got guys like Stafford on bye. So, if you're kind of in that, who do I go with? What's that quarterback that can have a good game on Sunday? Not maybe a guy that you want to keep every type of week. It's Derek Carr. He always, again, he's going to throw the ball a lot. He, again, I think he's top 3 in passing yards and he's 2nd in yards per game. And he also is going to throw against this Bengals secondary that let Baker Mayfield still drop 200 yards on 21 attempts. So I think this is, a start for him. And again, maybe over like a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Again, if you have like, a player on bye, I think Derek Carr's worth a start.
I think I might want to start the other quarterback in that matchup. Chances are he's not on your waiver wire though. Someone who is maybe is Ryan Tannehill, who I also think could warrant a start this week. I feel like we have yet to see how good of a week Ryan Tannehill can have because they're going to rely on him so much after Derrick Henry. And if it's going to be any of the weeks, it's this week against Houston. My sit this week is going to be Buffalo running back Zach Moss. A couple of weeks ago, just like Khalil Herbert, looked like a pretty solid fantasy running back. The problem is Devin Singletary is back healthy in his first week coming off of injury. He took just about all the targets again, and it proves that when Singletary is healthy, it is a complete committee in Buffalo. Moss is just going to get the ball at the goal line. Like that's his only value right now. And even Matt Breida coming out and stealing touchdowns. You just cannot start Zach Moss. He was nice for a couple of weeks, but with Singletary healthy, the Buffalo does not run the ball enough to warrant starting either of the members in this committee.
You guys might disagree with this, might agree. My sit of the week is actually going to be Saquon Barkley on Monday Night Football. I don't like the matchup at all. Coming off injury, going up against one of the best run defenses in the NFL, one of the best run stuffers in the entire NFL in Vita Vea. I just don't like the matchup here. I think the same goes for Devontae Booker. It's just whichever of them gets the most carries. I don't trust Giants running backs this week. And, maybe there's some leverage for Saquon considering he's coming off injury. We don't know what we're going to get. I just don't like the matchup, though, and it's making me lean towards he's not going to be as effective as he could be.
Hey, all I know is that Brady, when he plays the Giants, it's always a close game. And Giants sometimes, I know not the Super Bowls, but even in the regular season, it's always close.
Yeah, that was Eli Manning, not Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I love both of them. Both are, been my favorites. But my sit of the week it's kind of surprising, I guess. It's going to be Amari Cooper. Again, there was a lot of back and forth coming into the year. Who would be the wide receiver 1 for this team? A lot of people were riding CD, right? They thought, okay, this is his year. A lot of people still stuck with no, Amari's still the better overall receiver. He's still going to get the most targets. I think it's safe to say that CD is I think he's just been, better in this offense. And that's not saying he's better overall than Amari Cooper. I still think Amari's a better overall receiver, but CD's kind of been the guy that's been most targeted. Maybe he gets, less CB1 matchups, and which is kind of true. But against the Kansas City Chiefs, again, I think they'll kind of, put maybe Fenton on him, and then they'll put L'Jarius Sneed on CD, or maybe they'll put Sneed on Cooper and Fenton on CD. And I think CD would have a better game as a result of that. So, a potential sit, and maybe, a guy like Brandon Cooks would be a better start. Just, those type of guys where it's like, okay, maybe you wouldn't start him over Cooper, but Again, if you have to start him, you have to. Like, I think I have to start him because I've got some bad matchups with other receivers on my team. So we'll see how it goes, but that's my sit.
It is a pretty good matchup for Cooper, though.
Yeah.
I mean, going against the Chiefs, I think that's the biggest over-under this week is that Chiefs-Cowboys game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I might still think about starting him, but definitely if you've got a league where, an 8-team league, 10-team league.
It's just, I don't know what I'm getting. That's why,
and they're on the road, and how Amari Cooper plays on the road.
Yeah.
And Fenton did good last week.
It's not 2019, but, odd number year, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys ready to get into picks?
Let's do it.
Yes. Wait, can we just recap how much I'm down by so I know what I'm
Can we also recap who's in first?
So Shriegar's in first.
Yes, sir.
Then you got a 2-game gap, and then Fans and I are tied, and then you got a 6-game gap, and then
6. God,
that's where you are. So you're 8 games out of first.
It should be 5 if Detroit just. My God, dude!
Or if the Steelers
would make
win,
it 4. That would have made it 4.
It would have been 7 or 6.
4, yeah, because it's
because it doubles up. Right? It's not though. It's 6. But congratulations to Shrigar. He took the lead. It was nice being in first for a couple of weeks. Got to get back on that horse. Got a little too comfortable, not picking as many upsets. And of course, those are the weeks where NFL just decides our games are going to make no sense.
It's crazier.
It's been an absolutely crazy year, but we're going to start it off this week. A divisional matchup. One, I'm actually surprised how much slack the Vikings are getting in this game. It's a really close spread. Packers versus Vikings. Shrigar, as the new picks leader, you get to start us off. Who are you going with?
If the Packers win this game, there's a chance that they might mathematically just outright win this division before we even hit December, which is crazy. We knew they had, the division in wraps long before this game. But if they win this, they know what they're in for. And I know Minnesota got a huge win last week against the Chargers that gave them some life, but they're not the type of team that I'm consistently picking on a weekly basis. The matchup was there for the Vikings last week, and that's why I think they won. But look, at home against Aaron Rodgers, it's a much tougher game. I got to go with the Packers here.
I'll go. I'll spare you. You can go last. Down in the cellar there. No, so I agree. I think Minnesota is a team that I will pick when the matchup favors it. I almost did it against Baltimore. I was really close against the Chargers. And if the matchup this week was a little bit better against the Packers, I might consider it. The problem is it's just not there. The Packers, they really dominate NFC North play, as well as their defense has been on another level. It's been elite recently in the past month or so, even without their 2 best players on defense. And so I think this defense is going to absolutely smother the run. And then you're leaving Kirk Cousins to go out and beat Aaron Rodgers. And that's just something I'm not going to bet on. Historically, it's just not a trend that I think that you would follow in the NFL. So I've got the Packers winning this one. And you're right, Sugar. They might mathematically win this division very soon.
So do you guys want to know Kirk Cousins' record against Aaron Rodgers?
I'm curious.
Shrigar, you want to take a guess?
No, I'm not going to take
How many games?
Guess.
Tell us how many games total?
7.
Yeah.
7?
7 games.
1-6.
Yeah, I don't think he's been very good.
It's 3-3-1.
Wow.
Dead even.
Look, say what you want about him, but he's won his fair share. They're exactly even. 3-3-1.
So who are you taking?
The Packers.
It's at Minnesota, right?
You need games.
I do need games.
Can't lose anymore though.
Yeah,
that is true. I'm thinking about it. Like, okay, here's my reasoning for why I think Minnesota can win before I give like a pick, because I think right now I'm still unsure. But look, I think again, coming off a really good win against LA, right? They went all the way down there after a really tough loss to Baltimore, right? You can go over there, you get your things right. I mean, this is a team that's got some firepower, right? And I think, again, the Packers, who have just been, everyone says they're the least concerns. I've got them number 1 in my power rankings, but, there's always that, game that just slips out of your hands. And again, Rodgers, who with the toe injury, battling it a little bit, right? Vikings at home. Do I really want to do it? It's a toss up because I can't change my pick after this, after I make it.
Unless Aaron Rodgers gets ruled out. Or
yeah,
Devontae Adams gets ruled out, or
we need to have
Kirk Cousins gets ruled out.
Yeah, so do I want to go safe or do I want to risk it for the biscuit?
I think the whole point of picks is picking who you think is going to win. So
which is why I'm so torn, because I think this is a really winnable game for Minnesota.
Anish,
right?
I'm gonna be honest.
You know what happens in winnable games for Minnesota?
You think Aaron Rodgers will win?
You know what happens in winnable games for Minnesota? They miss game-winning field goals.
Yeah.
They're too inconsistent. And Mike
They are,
Zimmer,
which is
he's
why
not been doing a great job this year. I mean,
and I
he's
can't
been
bet
still
against the
after
guy that
win.
went to the best public university in the world. I just can't do that. So yeah, you're right. I guess I got to go with the pack. Yeah, I'll go with the pack.
Final
There it
answer.
is. There it is.
Final answer.
I'm so torn. Can I come back to it at the end of picks?
No.
If I'm changing.
Okay, at
No.
the end of picks, yes, you can.
No,
Yeah,
no,
you
no,
can.
because then he knows if we're differing on any other ones.
All right, Johnny
Just
on
pick
the
the
spot.
game.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
Just pick
All
the
right,
game.
Anish, who do you think is going to win? Like right now, who do you think is going to win?
Packers. And if the Vikings
Green Bay.
win, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be so mad. This is what
Okay,
happened with Carolina, Arizona last week.
It's one game.
You weren't considering Carolina.
Yeah, it was. Remember it before? I was like
No.
Panthers and Detroit.
Yeah,
but then
he
at
was,
the
he was.
very end, I said just Detroit.
Oh, I thought
He
you meant
was.
during picks. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get that. The Vikings definitely have a chance to win. It's just like, look at their track record.
Hey,
They're
you're
due
bringing
for
Yeah.
another one of those.
I don't trust them on a consistent basis. It's just the thing. They're so
In a toss-up
inconsistent.
game, it's just which team do you expect
Yeah.
to blow it more? And you pick the other team. So our next
Yeah.
game is actually going to be the Colts and the Bills. I'm going to start it off on this one. Like I told Trigar, I only wavered on a couple picks this week. This was not one of them, and it's actually I'm going with the upset. I'm going to pick Indianapolis to beat.
No.
Yeah, I stole your upset, didn't I? And here's why. I mean, the Buffalo Bills. You can come into this game say they've got one of the best defenses in football, one of the best run defenses in football. But the truth is, they have not faced a true ground and pound rushing team this year. And regularly throughout the season, we've seen teams get beat up when they go against those tough running teams for the first time all year. We saw it happen to the Jets when they played the Colts a couple weeks ago. We saw it happen to the Niners or the Rams when they played the Niners this week. I really, really, really think that Jonathan Taylor and this ground game, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago how like thin the Bills are at the line of scrimmage and how really they've been getting overpowered. And I just think the Colts are going to do it again. Kwity Paye, another big X factor, has had them. I think it's 12 or 16 pressures over the last 2 weeks. So I just think that the Colts are going to win this game in the trenches. It will come down though. And I really do think it comes down to the Colts have to score early, like on their first or second drive, because if they can get ahead of this Bills team, I think it's game over from there. If the Bills can get ahead, it's a little bit tougher to do, but I have some faith in Carson Wentz and some faith in Michael Pittman to at least bring back a couple scores for Indianapolis, keep it close, and get them to a place where they can run the ball.
It's a very interesting matchup. I'd say the Bills offense against the Colts defense is I'd lean advantage Colts just because the style of the defense the Colts run.
Yep.
I think it counters the Bills offense perfectly. But here's the thing. The Bills at home, I know they're looking at the Pats right now. And depending on tonight, what happens with this Pats-Falcons game, this game could mean staying ahead in the division. I think they're going to be hungry. I think they're going to be motivated. But also for the Colts, if you win this game, you make a very strong move in the AFC wildcard race. So, I mean, both teams are hungry. I just think Buffalo's going to want it a little more at home, playing in front of the Buffalo faithful. I'm going to go with Buffalo here. I'm going to stick with my gut. But look, I think this is a bad matchup for the Bills, and I could definitely see the Colts taking this game.
Anish, I'm going to guess you're going with Indianapolis.
Ew.
No, I'm not.
All
I'm
right.
going with Buffalo.
You only switched it because I picked Indianapolis.
No, I'm not. No, look, I'm just mad at the fact you took them because now you're going to jinx them. I don't want you jinxing walk it to them. No, I'm not. Okay, look. I had Buffalo. Remember I said I think there's the three games that the Colts are going to be, flip-flop, right? I believe it was the Pats, the Bucks, and the Bills. Those are the three that I think they need to win 2 out of the 3. So, and honestly, right now, I'm kind of like not as confident because what you kind of mentioned too. I didn't even think about Kwity Paye as much as I should have. I think, the Bills have been very vulnerable in the trenches. And I think that was that one of our takeaways from that?
It was close. It was almost mine a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
I thought you had mentioned that before, which is why I remember you saying that. So I was like, that's.
We both said it. Yeah. They're very vulnerable in the trenches.
Look, and like last year too, because that's what we can just go off of. Indy played Buffalo really close in that wild card game. And I know it was with Phillip Rivers, but I'm actually currently writing an article on Carson Wentz. So I've looked at his stats a little bit more. And they've been really, really good. Aside from the loss against Tennessee, they've been really good and they've been winning games that they should. They've been losing games that they should. So now they got to have that one win where it's like they got to, like, that's what I said, right? For them to make the playoffs, they got to win just a couple games that they weren't supposed to. Can this be the one? I just right now I'm leaning no. Like, and here's what it comes down to. I trust Josh more than I trust Wentz. I love both of them, but Joshua freaking Allen, you can't. It's hard to bet against that guy, and I think the Bills need to make a statement. I'm 9-1 on Colts picks this year, and the one obviously was the Tennessee. Yeah, I'm going Buffalo. Like, why do we do these two games, man? They've been tearing me apart. It's like
it's a tough back and forth for you early. I'll give you an easy one. Ravens play the Bears this week.
That's not easy.
That's not.
You don't think it's easy?
That's not easy.
Bears played really well.
They
against
did.
Pittsburgh.
I'll go first. I'll save you guys. I'll go first.
Yeah.
Look, if I'm Baltimore, I am like physically just like sick after that game against the Dolphins. I mean, that was
Lamar's also
putrid.
Sick. Like literally, he's got
prayers up to Lamar. Hopefully, he's good to go. Yeah. But I mean, I'm mad if I'm Baltimore, and going into this game, you get a redemption opportunity against Chicago. Here's the thing. I think this is going to be another big game for Justin Fields. And the only thing I'm worried about for him in this game is the fact that the Ravens run a ton of cover zero, and he is going to get blitzed almost every play. So if he can pick up the blitzes and he can really show that he can make the quick reads, accurate throws, I'd say the Bears have a great shot to win this game, especially in Chicago. And he's coming off a bye. Here's the thing, though. I'm going to take Baltimore. It's just what my gut is telling me right now. I can't bet against Lamar. Can we get contingency if somehow Lamar can't go?
Oh, obviously. I mean,
but he's gonna play.
If he does play,
he's gonna. Play.
I'm gonna take Baltimore, but do not rule out Chicago in this game. What's the spread at? Because
this isn't fair, dude. This isn't fair. Why are these games so hard?
It's Baltimore minus 6.5. Chicago's going to cover.
I had so many 1 or 2 loss weeks. Like maybe, okay, I'm starting to think that my year last year was an anomaly. I thought I was just going to roll in.
You're Kyle Shanahan.
Man.
I'm going with Baltimore if it wasn't already obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, you said an easy one. But look, Chicago at home. Again, I don't think, I thought Nagy called a really good game against Pittsburgh. I thought he called a really good game. Can he do it again against the Baltimore team that doesn't have Derek Wolfe, by the way? Their team is dropping like flies. And look, if they lose this game, man, it's like the AFC North. I mean, as a Browns fan, my eyes wide open. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to pick Baltimore. I'm going to pick Baltimore because, again, I trust Lamar more than I trust Fields right now. Also, with the fact that if they win this game, they'll ride in high, coming into Cleveland Sunday night.
And smack Baker Mayfield around the field.
That's hey, I'm just saying, last time the Browns played at Baltimore was it's still Lamar's worst statistical loss of his career. So
yeah. No, so our next game is Bengals Raiders, one AFC.
Another one.
I know who I'm going with here.
Me too. I'm going with the Bengals. I just feel like we're in the midst of that Raiders collapse. And it should have happened a couple of weeks ago, except they had some uncharacteristic wins. And they responded well originally to all the chaos going on in their locker room. But I feel like this is the start of that fall that we see from the Raiders just over the last couple of years. I also think this is just a really good matchup for the Bengals. I think they'll be able to run and pass the ball at an efficient level. And the Chiefs or the Raiders last week just could not handle the Chiefs' firepower on offense. Well, good luck. You're going against Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase this week.
In my opinion, I think just looking at the slate, this is the most impactful game to the playoff picture. Probably. Because if the loser of this game is on a 3-game losing streak and you drop a tiebreaker, and we know how important that is in this wide open conference. If you win this game, though, you're looking good for this stretch drive. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I also agree with Jack. I think we're in the middle of this Raiders collapse. You got to wonder if, they're just emotionally fried at this point. And it's really starting to seem like that, especially after that Chiefs game. Tough to see him rebounding. I'm going to go with Bengals. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I got Cincinnati as well. I think Raiders are kind of in the midst of just, what are we? We're losing these games. It's like, who do they turn to, right? They're just like, okay, we've had crucial off the field issue after off the field issue after off the field issue. And then now, just football wise, it's just hard to rebound. I got Cincinnati. I think they just have more firepower and also off a bye. And they're definitely angry about that Browns loss. I mean, to see the Browns get demolished like that and to see them demolish us, Cincy like that, come on, we got to be better. So that's, I think, how Cincy's looking at it. I got them.
The big kahuna game this week is one that we've been looking forward to for a couple weeks. It's Cowboys. It's the Chiefs. Shrikar, you start us off. Huge matchup.
Best game of the week. Potential Super Bowl preview, maybe, potentially, who knows? It looks like the Chiefs are back. So this is a tough game for the Cowboys. I'm expecting a lot of points. Patrick Mahomes versus Dak Prescott, amazing QB battle right there. Raucous atmosphere. We know we're in Arrowhead. I am ever so slightly leaning towards Dallas just because I feel like I have a better idea of what I know I can get from them. It's just, who do I trust more at this point? I got to go with Dallas. And it's not saying I'm taking Mahomes over Dak. It's just I'm taking the Cowboys over the Chiefs. That's just all it is.
Dak over Mahomes.
Dak over Mahomes, my bad. I'm in on the Chiefs, but at the same time, I'm also in on the Cowboys just a little bit more. So I got to go with the Cowboys.
If this game was next week, not this week, I feel like it'd be a lot easier to come in and take the Chiefs. I am also going with the Dallas Cowboys. And there's a couple of reasons why. I think that the Cowboys offensive line has been performing at such a high clip recently. I think they'll be able to run the ball pretty effectively with both Zeke and Pollard against the Chiefs defense. Also, the Cowboys corners already allow a ton of yards per game, but they make those couple plays that we've seen Mahomes be kind of privy to make this year. He's been more likely to throw that interception than in previous years. And, Trevon Diggs got 8 picks on the year. Anthony Brown and him are just allowing so many yards, and that's what the Chiefs are going to do. I just feel like when this game slows down and when it comes to those crucial moments, Dallas will make one more play, a touchdown run, a touchdown, or, a goal line stand, picking off Mahomes somewhere near the red zone. I just feel like it's a good matchup for the Cowboys. I definitely think it is. And I just feel like they're going to make that one extra play, and I can trust them just slightly more to make that one extra play. If this game came after, one more Chiefs win and another time their defense played well, probably be more likely to pick Kansas City. But I just think it's a good matchup for Dallas.
I've been trying to hide my smile ever since you picked it. I had this pick coming in. I'm going with the Chiefs. And here's why. I think, look, this is just a game that, Dallas, Jerry Jones is like, this is going to be a hallmark win. He said that on the Cowboys radio station. Look, in these big games, Dallas they're always falling short somehow. And there's always like, I just can't. I think for the Chiefs, right, this is a game that is just like, it's a game that for them, it's like a storybook win, a team coming in hot and they just find a way to do it. And look, I feel like we're all anticipating a high scoring game, just, by our luck, by the NFL's, NFL
low scoring.
Like, it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be like, one extra play. And I just think Mahomes is going to make that one extra play. Like, I think if, let's say, the Chiefs go on this run, I want to say that the turning point of the entire season was that throw on third down against the Packers.
Yeah,
I think that was
100%.
I think that is, and if they beat Dallas, I think I'm clear to say that. I mean, now I watched that live and I was like, my God, I mean, this is only something a throw that he can make.
You could see it on his face too. He just looked a lot more confident after that.
They're like, all right, Dallas, come in here and we're going to show you who's, again, all the critical games the Chiefs have really had, they've had at home. And I think they've been able to make statements both ways. Right. And I think this is one of those where I think they just make it, favorable to them. So I'm going with my homeboy. I'm not going to yell his name because he's beat us twice now in the last, 9 months. So
yeah.
But
if this was Sunday Night Football, I would go with the Chiefs. I think that the Arrowhead
primetime energy
be that extra bit of energy.
It's still going to be very
still
loud.
Kind of in the night, sun's going down earlier.
No, it definitely will. It just
3:25 because they're Central Time. So
yep.
No, it's Arrowhead. It's still going to be a crazy atmosphere.
I know it is, but I don't know. Something about the Chiefs in those primetime matchups, I feel a lot more confident in them. But yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys. It's a toss-up. I definitely I wanted to go with the Chiefs, but I just think it's a good matchup for the Cowboys. Unfortunately, the primetime game we are getting this week is Steelers versus Chargers. I don't understand why they haven't flexed either, any of these games, even Seahawks, Cardinals.
Oh, look, the Steelers are 5-3-1. So,
they're not, but Big Ben's probably not going to
play.
What
an amazing game.
Big Ben probably not going to play. I think the Chargers win this game anyways. My takeaway, if it wasn't the Seahawks won this week, it's going to be that.
Please win. Please. I'm tired. I'm so tired of seeing Pittsburgh just get, dude.
I don't think Pittsburgh gets lucky this week. I think the Chargers win. They're a better team than the Lions. And obviously you saw the game last week.
Please,
fellas. Let me tell you, got quite the matchup here. The Steelers, who have absolutely no offense on planet Earth, going against the worst run defense. The Chargers defense is underperforming.
It's been so disappointing.
It's horrible. So a bad offense against a bad defense. You know who I'm going to go in this case? I'm going with the better QB. So I'm going to go with Justin Herbert over Big Ben and Mason Rudolph, whoever's going to start for the Steelers. I'm going with the Chargers here.
God, I hate Pittsburgh. They're going to find a way. I know they're going to find some stupid way to
It's
just
Dwayne Haskins. You already know.
make this a close.
Haskins.
No, stop it with the better. Don't even get me. Like, dude, I might as well just pick them because I have the worst picks and I'll jinx them. But like, I mean, come on. How are they still doing that? I mean, like,
keep in mind, it's going to be a Steeler home game.
Yeah, which is so dumb. I mean, like, they're going to find, I know they're going to find a way to make this game close. Like, if the spread is like +5 or if it's 5 points or more, I'm taking the Steelers spread. No, that's an easy bet for anyone out there. But look, I got to go with the team that I think is going to win and should win, right? But like this, I mean, the Steelers team, right? They just find different ways to win. But I think no Ben. I think that's still going to be the demise of them. I'm really hoping. Chargers. I'm going to go with the Chargers, but please win.
You really need some of the AFC North teams to start losing. You can't afford Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati to all win this week. I'm a Bears, I'm a Raiders, and I'm a Chargers. Yeah. And Bears. All the rest of America and anyone watching this podcast is a Lions fan this week. Definitely are. This is honestly one of the better slates we've had in recent weeks. There's some great games. I'm definitely excited, and hopefully things to start bouncing back a little bit in picks.
Yeah, let's knock on wood that the Browns can beat Tim Boyle. So
I don't know. Tim Boyle sounds like a cult.
With how much you knock on wood, I don't know if that's working anymore.
No,
might have to be something else.
So
I think it's because you're only knocking twice. You're supposed to knock 3 times.
No, but here's the thing. I did it last week, and I realized I didn't knock on wood. I knocked on plastic.
What are you thinking? Okay, so now Browns fans can focus. They know where the problem actually lies. It's not Baker's fault. It's your fault.
Bad. Hey, that's on me.
The plastic.
Because 2 weeks ago when we did it, I did it on this table, and it was wood, and they won. So I knocked on wood. We'll be fine.
Well, now that you put it out there, it's nullified.
Nah, we'll be fine.
You ruined the jinxing. That's all we got for you guys this week. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Say it every week. If you want to go vote for some of those picks, they're in our Instagram. We also might do some fantasy polls there. Leave comments if you're on YouTube or hit the like button. Let us know who you're picking in this Dallas versus Kansas City game, who you got fantasy football start sit questions going into that playoff stretch almost. And if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those other spots, as usual, please consider liking the show, subscribing, leaving a 5-star review if you so decide to. But that's all we got for you guys. We'll be back next week to talk probably about this Dallas and Kansas City game because it's going to be a doozy. But that's all we got for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.